All right, the first three problems on your warm-up are factoring problems. So how did we do on number one? What type of factoring is number one? Eddie, if you're still on your cell phone, I'm going to take it. Earbuds out. I don't want to see them. No headphones. GCF. The first one is GCF. And what is the GCF?
X.
The GCF is X. So we're going to take an X out. And then what is left over? X plus 8. Okay, so number one was a GCF problem. Number two is what type of factoring problem? Not GCF. Square roots, right? Difference of squares. So it's two sets of parentheses. One has a plus and one has a minus. And if you tried to do that GCF method with it, where you tried to do hit the math button, go over to number and go down to number 9, if you tried to do this method with it with the GCF and do 16 comma 49, it would tell you 1, which tells you there's no GCF. So the calculator would kind of confirm that even though it kind of looks like a GCF problem, it's not. And then if you look at the types of numbers, they are perfect squares. Yeah, so 4 is the square root of 16, 4x, and then the square root of 49 is 7. So 4x plus 7, 4x minus 7. The x thing, okay. So we're looking for what multiplies to 28 but adds to -11, and the two numbers are -4, -7. And so in our parentheses, we have x minus 4, x minus 7, or you could say x minus 7, x minus 4. Both of those combinations work. They're both fine. Okay. So down here, this is the one I saw some mistakes on just in plugging it in. So we have to be careful how we plug this in. And they were similar mistakes to what I saw when I started grading the quizzes yesterday. I didn't grade them completely, but when I started, I noticed the same mistake. So everybody seemed to know how to type this into Desmos, which was good. So when we started plugging it in, the beginning of starting to plug it in was fine. So we were able to get the coefficients if we had them, and then SQRT. And then this is the part where the mistake was. A lot of people were typing stuff in like this on the quiz, and this is going to give you the wrong answer, because if you compare this with your worksheet, the +5 is not underneath the square root sign. Everyone see that? The +5 is actually outside the square root sign. So you have to be really careful to make sure that you're checking to see where your square root sign is and where it stops, because that will make a big difference in what your answer is and where the graph is. Because you can see, let me graph that one again. 3 square root x minus 1 plus 5. That's a big difference in where the two graphs are. So the blue one is incorrect. The red one is correct. So the red one is the one that we wanted to graph, but I had quite a few people today and then yesterday on the quiz graphing the incorrect one. So the locator point should be what for this graph? 1 and +5. Okay, so if we were to draw a sketch of this, which I'm going to do, 1, 5 is where this graph starts. And then it kind of goes up like this. So 1, 5. So if we do the domain, that's x values. If we do the range, that's y values. So I'm going to draw a little sketch for each of these because that can be helpful. So domain is from left to right. So I'm going to use the x values, x value of 1. And then is this considered, if it's a right arrow, is a right arrow positive or a negative infinity? Positive infinity, okay? And then for the y's, this would be 5. And then this would be considered an up arrow. And if it's an up arrow, is it a positive or a negative infinity? Positive infinity. Okay, so we have our answers now. We've got 1 to infinity for the domain. Parentheses always around infinity. What should we put around the 1? Bracket. Okay, and then for the range, we've got 5 to infinity. Parenthesis always around the infinity. What should we do for the 5? bracket. It's an actual point. You can put your finger on it. Okay. And then if we look at the picture of the graph that we drew, does this picture of the graph have a mountaintop or a valley? So mountaintops look like this, goes up, comes back down again. Valleys look like this, goes down, comes back up again. Neither, right? No mountaintop, no valley. So what is the max? There's none. No max. No mountaintops. So max doesn't mean it goes up, it has a high point. Max means specifically it has to have a mountaintop. It goes up, it comes back down again. All right, end behavior. As I look at the left arrow, is there a left arrow for this graph? No. So we're going to say undefined. There is no left arrow for this graph. Okay. As we look at the right arrow for this graph, what do we notice? Goes up. So positive infinity because it goes up. Okay. The next ones, for number 8, they're asking us to take function f, which is right here, and they're asking us to plug in -4. So 4 plug in -4 minus 5. And if we plug that into our calculators, 4 times -4 minus 5, -21 is what we should get. Okay. The next one is asking us to take function g and plug in 3b. So we would have 3b squared plus 7 times 3b. If you have 3b squared, what does that mean? What does squared mean? There's 2 of them. So I have a 3b and another 3b. What's 3b times 3b? 9b squared, okay? And then we have a 7 times 3b, 21b. Okay, I'm just going to carry that down, 21b. And if we have a b squared and a b, can we add them together? No, those are not like terms, so this is the whole answer, just like that. 9b squared plus 21b. Done. Okay. This one tells us to take function h, and we're going to plug in a plus 8. So -6, plug in a plus 8, and then it still has the plus 1 on the end. And what do we do if we have something in front of parentheses? What do? We distribute it. So -6 multiplied by a, -6a, -6 multiplied by 8 is -48. And then we've got plus 1. What's -48 plus 1? -47. So we have -6a minus 47. So we combined these two together. So we took the x out. The x was right here. It was -6x plus 1. Okay. This one says f dot h with parentheses around the x. What does this notation mean? Means multiply. So we're going to take f of x and we're going to take h of x, and we're just going to multiply those two functions together. So f of x is 4x minus 5. H of x is -6x plus 1. And we're going to multiply these together. And how do we multiply two sets of parentheses together? We FOIL. We first, outside, inside, last. So if we do first times first, what's 4x times -6x? -24x squared, okay? If we multiply the outsides, we get 4x times 1. 4x, okay? For the I, we multiply the insides. 30x, okay, because this one had an X on it. And then L is the last times the last. -5. Okay, so do we have anything we can combine here? 4x plus 30x, and what does that give us? 34x. First, outside, inside, last. First, outside, inside, last. Yep. Okay. Did that stuff make sense today? Okay. Save this warm up because tomorrow's warm up is going to be just like this one. So save this one. It'll make tomorrow's warm up easier. Tomorrow's warm up is going to get participation credit. I'm going to grade tomorrow's warm up. Not for accuracy. I'm not going to grade whether or not you got it right, but I'm going to grade whether or not it's complete. Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. So let's get yesterday's assignment out. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 done. Everyone have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 done? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, we're flipping it over. We're looking at number 7 today. We're just going to make sure that we've got it. And then we're going to move on to the other ones. And I think I'm going to let you work on a few on your own today. So let's make sure we can do number 7. So the first equation says -2x plus 1. And we can graph that one ourselves because that's just y equals mx plus b. So it has a y-intercept of 1. So I'm going to draw that y-intercept of 1. Caitlin, you were asleep yesterday. You got to be awake today. Caitlin. 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 You got to be awake today because you were asleep yesterday. You ready? Okay. I don't have very good aim. I tried to hit your feet, but I hit the floor right there. All right. So we got y-intercept of 1. What's our slope? Anybody? Anybody? -2. So where are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And once we run out of space, what are we going to do? Up to left 1. Okay. And I'm working very carefully in pencil because I'm actually going to erase half of this. So I'm not making my drawing super dark. Caitlin! 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 She is slumped. All right. So we got to circle a number. And what number are we going to circle? We're going to circle where x equals 2. We're going to circle where x equals 2. So I find 2. I circle it. And then based on the symbol, should I fill it in or not fill it in? Fill it in. It says less than or equal to. So I'm going to fill it in. Does the arrow point to the left or to the right? Does the arrow point to the left or to the right? This arrow points to the left. So I'm going to keep the left side. And I'm going to erase the right side. Okay. Now let's do the absolute value graph. So what's the locator point for the absolute value graph? You're close. 4 and 3. So +4, +3. Okay. Oh, Caitlin. Hey. All right, so we're going to go to +4, +3. +4, +3. Absolute value graph. Yes, I do. Okay, and I'm going to look for +4, +3 on the table. So there's +4, +3 on the table, and I'm just going to graph some more points. Going to graph all these points in there. So I got 4, 3. I got 3, 4. 2, 5. 1, 6. I got 5, 4. 6, 5. And get some more points. 0, 7. -1, 8. 7, 6 is over here. Okay. So I've plotted all those points. Let's see what it looks like. Here's what I've got. I'm doing it lightly because I'm going to erase a bunch of it. And it's telling me to circle what number? Circle 2. So I'm going to go up and circle 2. Fill it in or not fill it in? Don't fill it in. And then which way is the arrow going? Quentin, put that phone away. Which way is the arrow going? To the right. So I'm going to keep the right side. And then what do I erase? Erase the left side. Done. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to have you guys finish the worksheet today. You're going to do 3 more problems in the next, 40 minutes? In the next 40 minutes, you're going to do 3 more problems to get the worksheet turned in. Can we do that? I think we can do that. So somebody remind me what we do. We've got Desmos to help us with the actual graphing of the points, but what do we have to do with the piecewise part? We got these numbers right here. What do we do with these numbers? We circle that number on the graph. And then what do we do when we circle it? We fill it in if it's got an equal to. We don't fill it in if it doesn't have an equal to. So right here, I'm going to say fill in. Don't fill in. Over here, I'm going to say fill in. Don't fill in. Over here, I'm going to say fill in. Don't fill in. Okay. And then what else do we do? So we circle the numbers, we either fill them in or we don't fill them in. And then we look at which direction the arrow points and we keep that side. We erase the rest. So for this one, the arrow points to the left, so we're going to keep the left. This one, the arrow points to the right, so we're going to keep the right. Here, the arrow points to the left, so we're going to keep the left. Here, the arrow points to the right, so we're going to keep the right. So it always tells you which side to keep, which side to erase. Keep the left or keep the right. Make sense? So we got 3 problems to do in 40 minutes, and then we turn it in. If you don't get the problems done, then you can turn it in tomorrow. But we're going to make sure we turn it in so we don't have missing assignments. Sound good? Yes? Marvelous. Okay.